it's kind of cool to just be in this building and kind of, surround yourself with the greatness that is played in this arena over the course of however many years. So I think it's a great opportunity for people in this city or fans around the area to come and support a W team here. And I know their game last year had great attendance and great energy. So I'm expecting the same tonight. But for myself, you don't take these opportunities for granted. It's always fun to go to a new arena and a new place and enjoy it. And I, expect the same here tonight.
You ever walk into someone else's house and completely take over? That's exactly what Caitlin Clark just did. The Indiana Fever rolled into Boston's legendary TD Garden. The same arena dripping in Celtics history, the same building where legends became icons, and by the time the final buzzer hit, it didn't feel like Boston anymore. It felt like Bankers Life Arena with a new coat of paint. Forget the parquet floor, forget the championship banners. On this night, TD Garden belonged to Caitlin Clark. The setup couldn't have been more poetic. Indiana versus Connecticut. The same Sun team that roughed Clark up back in June with that now infamous eye poke from JC Sheldon, and a shoulder check that had fans screaming foul play. That game was ugly, borderline disrespectful. So when the rematch landed on the calendar, everyone had it circled, including Caitlin. But no one, and I mean no one, expected what came next. Clark didn't just come to hoop. She came to etch her name into WNBA history. In front of a sold-out crowd of screaming fans, many of whom were draped in fever red despite it being an away game, Clark unleashed a performance that was equal parts revenge, redemption, and record-breaking. And the best part? She let her game do the talking. No revenge fouls, no jawing, just buckets, assists, and stat sheet stuffing greatness. From the opening tip, the crowd energy was electric, but it wasn't in favor of the home team. Every time Clark touched the ball, the noise rose like a playoff roar. Connecticut players looked confused, probably thinking, wait, whose home game is this again? And Clark, she soaked it in. You could see it in her demeanor, the way she walked into that arena with her shoulders back and her eyes locked in. It was personal, but it was also clinical. This wasn't an emotional revenge tour. This was a business trip, and Clark brought her briefcase. The script was already spicy. Star rookie returns to the site of her roughest game of the season, facing the same team that tried to bully her out of rhythm. But what no one saw coming was the 3 WNBA records Clark was about to snap in half like a stale pretzel. Not 1, not 2, 3. And she made it look easy. Revenge? That was just the appetizer. The main course? A legacy performance that turned Boston into Indiana East for one unforgettable night. Before we dive into what went down, let's get one thing straight. Covering stories like this takes time, effort, and more than a few late-night rewatches. So if you think Caitlin Clark is cooking up a historic season, tap that like button so we can keep bringing the heat. Now back to the drama. You can't appreciate what happened in Boston without remembering what went down the last time these two teams met.
Then she decks Clark, tempers flaring on both sides.
The announcers here are saying, of course, Marina Mabrey is going to get ejected because that was unwarranted. She literally came out of nowhere and chucked Caitlin Clark. There should be a flagrant one, of course, on JC Sheldon because she swiped her and hit her in the eyeball. Whether it is intentional or not, you can still have a flagrant a flagrant foul called on you, whether you are trying to intentionally hurt somebody or not. But this is what they called, you guys. This is what they called. Caitlin Clark, Marina Mabrey, Tina Charles were assessed with technical fouls on Tuesday. Caitlin, Marina, and Tina Charles. Technical fouls. That's it. Technical fouls. That's it. And JC Sheldon was assessed with a flagrant 1 foul, and no players were ejected.
June 17 wasn't just a game, it was a street fight in sneakers. JC Sheldon swiped Clark in the face, Marina Mabrey decked her mid-play, and the refs basically threw their whistles in the trash. Fans were furious. It was one of those games where the physical play spiraled into chaos, tempers flared, and Clark walked away bruised and battered, not just physically but mentally. The whole basketball world was buzzing about it. Was the league doing enough to protect its stars? Were the officials asleep at the wheel? It didn't help that Clark kept her cool while everyone else lost theirs, making her look more like a target than a competitor. And now here we were, weeks later, in one of the most iconic arenas in sports history, with Clark and the Fever getting another crack at the same Connecticut team that tried to knock her off her game with elbows instead of strategy. But this time felt different. There was a slow burn in the air. You could feel it as soon as the game tipped off. This wasn't just a rematch. It was a reckoning. Clark wasn't just looking for a win. She was ready to rewrite the narrative. The crowd knew it too. Every time she touched the ball, they leaned in a little more, like they were waiting for a plot twist. The Connecticut Sun, they didn't change much. Same physical defense, same plan to double-team Clark and dare the others to beat them. But the difference was, this time, Clark had backup. You could see it on her face. This was personal, but she wasn't going to retaliate with fouls or flops. She was going to respond the only way she knows how, by playing basketball so good, so smart, and so unselfish, it would make that last game look like a fluke. What started as a grudge match was quickly turning into a statement game, and the message was loud and clear. If you thought June was rough, you're not ready for July. Connecticut came in with the same blueprint. Rattle Clark early, hit her with full court pressure, double her on every catch, and try to throw her off her rhythm. It worked last time, right? But this wasn't June, and this wasn't the same Indiana fever. This time, the plan backfired. Instead of getting rattled, Clark looked like she'd been studying that June film on a loop. The way she handled the pressure was surgical. She wasn't trying to go hero mode or force her way through the trap. She was calm, patient, and absolutely locked in. And more importantly, her teammates were finally in sync with her. Every pass had purpose. Every movement off the ball felt intentional. When the Sun tried to swarm her, Clark didn't panic. She picked them apart. It was like she was saying, if you're gonna double me, fine, I'll make you regret it. And regret it they did. Because as soon as the ball left Clark's hands, it ended up in the hands of open shooters and cutters who knew exactly what to do. The Fever weren't just playing better, they were playing smarter. And if you're someone who was yelling at your screen saying, let her cook, during that fourth quarter, go ahead and drop that in the comments below. Because Clark turned that pressure into a masterclass in point guard play. Even the announcers couldn't hide their amazement. The timing, the vision, the ability to keep her composure while orchestrating the chaos around her, it was all next level. Connecticut's defense wasn't bad. They were just outmatched by someone who was 2 steps ahead at all times. Sheldon couldn't keep up. The help defenders were a step late. And when you give Clark an inch, she finds a way to turn it into a highlight reel. This wasn't about revenge anymore. This was about evolution. She took what happened in June, studied it, learnt from it, and used it as fuel to become a smarter, deadlier version of herself. The Connecticut Sun came into this one expecting a repeat of last time. Instead, they ran into a player who learned the lesson and came back with answers. And by the time they realized it, the game was already slipping through their fingers. The moment Indiana put the offense back in Caitlin Clark's hands, everything changed. The game slowed down for her but sped up for everyone else in the best possible way. Suddenly the pace looked like Fever basketball again, fast, fluid, and full of motion. Clark wasn't just running plays, she was conducting the orchestra. Every possession became a rhythm exercise, every pass a beat drop. You could feel the shift instantly. The ball stopped sticking. Players started cutting with purpose, screening with conviction, moving like they had a real plan instead of just reacting. This wasn't about ISO ball or highlight plays. It was about trusting the system and trusting their point guard, and Clark delivered. Her decision-making was sharp, her reads were quick, and her ability to anticipate where the defenders would be felt borderline psychic. She wasn't just playing the game, she was shaping it. It was the kind of leadership that doesn't show up in the box score, but completely changes the outcome. And the players around her, they fed off it. You could see Kelsey Mitchell perk up, ready to knock down shots. Natasha Howard started rolling harder to the rim. Even the bench energy changed. Suddenly every possession felt like it mattered again. The Fever had been drifting for a while, looking for their identity in all the wrong places. But with the ball in Clark's hands, it was like the GPS finally recalibrated. The forced shots, the wasted possessions, the endless turnovers from trying to do too much, they vanished. Replaced by crisp ball movement, unselfish play, and a style of basketball that made you remember why this team was such a problem early in the season. Clark didn't need to score to dominate. She just needed to do what she does best: control tempo, create chaos for the defense, and make everyone around her better. And when a point guard has that kind of command, everything else starts falling into place. With Clark pulling the strings, it didn't take long for the rest of the Fever to catch fire. Kelsey Mitchell was the first to erupt, dropping a smooth 20 points and torching defenders who dared to sag off her. Every time Clark drew a double team, Mitchell was right there waiting, feet set, shoulders square, and ready to splash from deep or drive past a lazy closeout. The Sun couldn't hedge off her anymore, and that changed the geometry of the game. Then Natasha Howard went to work in the paint, bullying her way to 18 points and 13 rebounds. She was everywhere, cleaning up misses, finishing strong inside, and dominating the glass like it was her personal territory. And the more Connecticut tried to plug the leaks, the more they found themselves drowning. Sophie Cunningham came off the bench like a shot of espresso, knocking down back-to-back threes, and diving for loose balls like the game was being played on fire. Her energy was infectious.
Another opportunity on the O glass. Cunningham already has 1 3, make it 2. When all else fails.
And just when it looked like the Sun might claw their way back, she'd come in with a dagger 3 or a sneaky steal to flip the momentum again. Even Aaliyah Boston, who struggled with her shot all night, made her presence felt through smart passes and clutch rebounds. This wasn't just a Clark show anymore, it was a full Fever feature film. Everyone had a role, and they played it like they knew the stakes. No one was waiting around for a hero. They were moving, cutting, rebounding, spacing the floor like a team that finally believed again, and it worked. Connecticut's defense was stretched so thin they might as well have been playing Twister, trying to cover shooters on one end and defend Howard on the other. Indiana wasn't just beating them, they were outsmarting, outworking, and outlasting them. This is the kind of team effort that turns a single win into a turning point. With Mitchell torching from deep, Howard wrecking shop inside, Cunningham injecting energy, and Boston doing the dirty work, the Fever were clicking on all levels, and when that happens, Clark doesn't have to do everything, she just has to lead, and that's exactly what she did. While the Fever were firing on all cylinders, Caitlin Clark was quietly making history behind the scenes. So quietly, in fact, that most fans didn't even realize they were witnessing a record-breaking night. Her shooting numbers on paper, not great. She went just 4 of 14 from the field, and hit only 1 of her 7 attempts from deep. For most players, that's a rough night, but Clark isn't most players, and her impact went far beyond the box score. What she did instead was quietly smash 3 different WNBA records in one night, without so much as a flex. First, she became the fastest player in league history to reach 450 career assists, doing it in just 53 games. That's 9 games quicker than the legendary Tickle Penicheiro, who held the record for decades. 9 games might not sound like much, but in a league where possessions are gold, that's a landslide. Then came the second milestone. Clark also became the fastest player to hit 150 career three-pointers. Again, 53 games. Again, way ahead of the previous pace. That stat alone proves how fast she's adjusted to the professional level, and how much of a threat she is the moment she crosses half court. But the third record might be the most telling. Clark extended her streak of 5 or more assists to 40 straight games, the longest such streak in WNBA history. That's 40 games of consistent playmaking, 40 games of making her teammates better, 40 games of being the engine behind the Fever's offense even when her shot wasn't falling. It's easy to get caught up in highlight reels and scoring stats, but what Clark did in this game was pure basketball IQ. She didn't force bad shots or chase the spotlight. She trusted her teammates, found the open player, and played chess while everyone else was chasing checkers. By the time the final buzzer sounded, the records were already etched into the books, and most people were too caught up in the win to even notice. That's how you know you're dealing with greatness, when you can break records by accident. Just when it felt like the night couldn't get any better, everything shifted in the blink of an eye. With under a minute left in the game, Caitlin Clark made a slick pass to Kelsey Mitchell for a bucket, but instead of celebrating, she immediately clutched her right leg and grimaced. The crowd's roar faded into a hush as she limped to the bench, trying to mask the pain written all over her face. This wasn't just a random tweak. This was the same groin injury that had already been bothering her all season, the one she'd been pushing through like a warrior. But this time, it didn't look like something she could just walk off. Cameras zoomed in as she sat down, her face a mix of frustration and fear, blinking back tears that rarely surface during a game. For someone as composed and competitive as Clark, that kind of visible emotion spoke volumes. The bench, once buzzing with energy, went still. Her teammates glanced over with concern.
Right here, she explodes, makes the backdoor pass, and immediately grabs the inside of that right leg.
Brutal. That's all you can say, and the look on Caitlin Clark's face said it all. After she clearly tweaked her groin in the Fever win over the Connecticut Sun in what has been an injury-riddled season for Clark. And whether it was pain or frustration or a combination of both, you could see it weighing on her.
Coach Stephanie White gave the most minimal update imaginable after the game, saying Clark felt a little something in her groin and that they'd evaluate it. No timeline, no clarity, just more questions than answers.
No update. Just felt a little something in her groin, so we'll get it evaluated and see what happens from there.
Yeah, just kind of to follow up on that. Looked like she was kind of grabbing at her right groin area. Is that the concern?
Yeah. If that's the one she was grabbing at, I don't know which one it was, but yeah, I mean, that's it.
And the timing couldn't be worse. All-Star Weekend is right around the corner. Clark was supposed to be a captain, headline the three-point contest, and put on a show for her home state fans in Indiana. Her potential absence would be a massive loss for the league and a gut punch for the fans who were counting down the days to see her shine. It's the kind of cruel twist only sports can deliver. One minute you're breaking records, the next you're staring down the tunnel wondering if you'll be able to play next week. The arena that was erupting just moments earlier now felt like it was holding its breath. All the joy, all the celebration, suddenly balanced on a tightrope of uncertainty. Clark wasn't just hurt, She was human, and sometimes the most powerful reminder of an athlete's greatness is seeing just how much it hurts when they're forced to stop. Caitlin Clark's night in Boston was a reminder of everything we love and fear about sports. One moment she's leading her team to a gritty 85-77 win, orchestrating a clinic in ball movement and team chemistry, and casually snapping 3 WNBA records without even needing a scoring explosion. The next, she's on the bench, holding her leg, the future of her All-Star weekend, and possibly more, hanging in the balance. It's a brutal juxtaposition, the kind that leaves fans cheering 1 minute and holding their breath the next. And yet, that's what makes Clark so magnetic. She's not just breaking records, she's carrying the weight of expectations, pressure, and physical toll like a seasoned vet in her rookie year. Her teammates showed up for her. The fans packed the Garden like it was Indy South. And despite the pain, Clark delivered one of the most unforgettable performances of her career. But now, everything rests on that groin. Will she be ready for the All-Star stage she's meant to headline? Or will that magical night in Boston be the last time we see her on the floor for a while? One thing's for sure, this Fever team has found its rhythm, and Clark is still the heart that makes it beat. So if you're rooting for her recovery, drop a "Let Her Heal and Hoop" down in the comments. And if you want to keep riding this wild WNBA journey with us, smash that like button like it's a wide open 3. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss a minute, and ring the bell so you're first in line when the next chapter unfolds. Because with Caitlin Clark, history isn't just happening, it's happening fast.